It's up to you. And as I say, there are only two things that rise us up as people: the spirit of truth and the spirit of deceit. So it's which road we want.
And and as you're saying that, it's also what we're seeing. Another public service announcement from us at Noise and Associates. A little bit about us. We're a firm of immigrants for immigrants. We are the fruit of illegal immigration. Our fathers, both my wife and I, they came here illegally to this country,
Mhm.
and they opened the doors to be able to put us in a situation right now where we can be
We,
bridge to connect the people to compliance. Because at the end of the day, you do have to abide by rule of law.
yeah.
And part of what we're seeing is, in that spirit of, people want to be lied, is that it has opened the door to so many fraud right now.
Yes.
A lot of fraud and people taking advantage, because if you go to a lawyer, they're going to charge you premium price, because you're not going to put cheap gas in a Mercedes, right? You got to if you want to accomplish your goal, you have to make an investment in yourself. And what we're seeing is, and my wife and I always talk about this, that it's similar to salvation. A lot of people get mad at the preacher because no one wants to hear what's going to happen if you don't submit to the obedience. But then they're quick to run to the man in the corner, doing things for a dollar and getting dollar results, which means we've had a lot of people who've gotten detained, who have gotten deported because they just weren't willing to invest in themselves. And mind you, these are the same people that if somebody calls them from back home, they immediately find the money to fix somebody else's problem. So they're willing to want to take the beam out of somebody else's eye and not willing to take the beam out of their eye, invest in themselves, and fix their situation.
You know what? From where I stand, it's the lack of both spiritual knowledge and physical knowledge within oneself. Because the truth about it, for example, I'll give you a simple example that I've been noticing, even now. A lot of people cry, say they want money.
Yeah.
But when they get the money, the only three things I see they do: they fill their bellies, they buy material, maybe cars, a truck, whatever. They don't buy a house to live in, and they flaunt the rest of the money. Then they still sit around and cry. Now, my question is, why is it you want it, then you have no use to it at the end of the day when you get it? It's simply because the knowledge of dealing with it, you're not aware of. Because one of the things that, as an individual, I've come to the conclusion of is that growing up and going to school, they tell us that in this world you have a world where science is the basic, and it consists of plants and animals, males and females. Now, at the end of the day, they teach the man how to find a woman and find some money, but they never taught him how to maintain it.
That's
They
true.
teach the woman how to find a man and find some money, but they never taught her how to maintain it. Then tell me, who's going to teach us to maintain the spirit that help to enhance the flesh that we have reasoning at this moment? So we're in the middle of a big spin and a whirlwind of self, where the lack of self-discipline and respect for individual self is far, far from where it should be. That's how I look at it.
No, absolutely. As you're saying that, what I'm thinking is, whenever there's a crisis, people are thinking about storing food. They're not thinking about putting the seed on the ground.
Mhm.
They're not thinking about
Mhm.
planting.
Mhm.
It's all about how much can I accumulate? How much can I save? You heard about these bunkers. You heard about, people making barrels, people storing food. But once that food finish,
How you going to survive?
what what have you, what have you, what seeds have you planted for you to be able to reap someday?
Ah,
And
yeah.
and even then, right? That's the same thing when you go back to immigration. If you spend 20 years, 30 years here, have not gotten your papers or yourself legalized, straight, whatever you want to, however way you want to call it, or put a terminology to it. But at the same time, they never made in preparation back home. That should one day
Mhm.
something happens, I am okay to go back home. Because there's a lot of people, they don't want to go home because they don't have nothing home. And I remember there's always a song say you live a fire and you know you come back you have nothing. Bujo. So it's like you live this lavish life, but then you don't have anything.
But then again, to be honest, let's look at the table for what is there. And as I always say, call a 6 and a 9. Call a spade a spade. You know, it's not all of the people who are in that situation is really there because they wasted the opportunity.
That is true.
Sometimes, as one of my brothers would say, circumstances makes me what I am.
Mm-hmm.
Because one of the things, if you observe one of the things about most immigrants, especially Caribbean immigrants, they will come to this country or to England or to Canada, and they'll do 3-4 jobs
That's true.
in order to survive.
And that's so true because a lot of times American citizens, not just American, because in England is the same place and same thing. In other countries, they look at the immigrants who come into their country and they say, oh, they come to destroy our country. They come to take away our jobs. But they're doing a job that you are not doing.
Yeah.
Immigrants make up about 85% of small businesses in this country.
And
the workforce. Because most people, immigrant come here, they say, listen, I'm gonna work. I have a goal. I have a why. Whether it's their kids back home or their parents home or something, they're like, I'm gonna work. I'm gonna try to do as much and build for my family.
Yeah. But you know something? You saying that, one of the things that I've noticed even in this country,
Mm-hmm.
when you look on the people in the streets, or say the common man, a lot of the common man in this country don't want to work at places like Burger King or whatever. But at the end of the day, they'll go to prison and run jostle
Mm-hmm.
to get a 5 cent donation or salary to cover their grounds. So that's not adding up. Something ain't right.
Yeah. No.
You'd rather stay in a corner where you're forced to move in and out, whichever way you want to move,
Mm-hmm.
and join a line for 5 cents or 10 cents. When if you were free on the outside, you could be getting $10 or $15. Something ain't adding up.
That's true. But then it's all go back to education.
As I said, the lack of
Lack of knowledge and education.
destroys the individuals.
Yeah.
You know.
Because we did last month. I was at the Capitol. We had a run table on immigration and how the impact of immigrants in the state of Connecticut. Like, what are their impact? And that has been a tremendous thing for Connecticut because, again, 85%, if not more, of small businesses in Connecticut are run by immigrants, whether they have papers or none. They come here, they want to be a part. They come in and they indoctrinate themselves into the society. They want to build. They want to protect their community. They become almost, my husband has to say, when does an immigrant become a patriot? And it's like it's a question, but it's the truth because not every immigrants are criminals. Some are, but not everyone. A lot of them protect this country more.
From my perspective, most of the criminals that comes to this country, especially from the Caribbean, it's through the political harm they enter this country.
Mm-hmm.
So at the end of the day, it's the politics that creates the confusion.
Yeah.
And even as we're calling for awareness here in this country, is also a call to all of our countries, our nations, that they should be doing better for our returning citizens, because we do realize that some people just don't have a way out. We now at our firm, Noise and Associates, we're offering 3 doors of possibilities. One is that you fight, just like how Trump said, fight to stay here in this country. Or let's really have a serious discussion, a financial planning, family planning, which we're planning to have you go back home. And what does that look like? Whether that is investing in real estate, opening a bank account, making some savings, preparing for the eventual possibility that you may be detained and you may be sent back. and that you have some kind of planning, whether that is leaving a power of attorney to someone to be able to sell your car, or
Your
be able to access your
house.
money from your bank account, sell your house, sell your property. So we do need to have the discussion. And now we're also working with a Canadian attorney where we are able to have people see exploring ways in which they can go to Canada if going back home is not an option. But regardless of what it is, we do have to be informed, and we have to protect our families. This is really all about protecting ourselves, obviously, but the homes that we have made, the life that we have created here in this country, and also the people that depend on us, who are back and foreign, who need our continued support. But even most important is for those governments to be able to help those people transition back, because it's not easy to go back home and you left 20 years ago. You don't know the land anymore. So what job opportunities, healthcare, the same things that we should be doing for the citizens back home anyway.
Mhm.
But how can they help bridge that transition? Because we do have mixed families, mixed status families of U.S. born citizen children. They can't stay here, and they're going to choose to go back to Jamaica, to Dominican Republic with their families.
Mhm.
And what's going to be the plan of the support that our governments can offer? And I haven't seen much discussions about that, because for most of our countries, they depend on money remittances, meaning the money that people here in the States or in England and Canada send them, or tourism. So they haven't done a good job at building the economy, educating the community, and creating the incentive to have even people return back home. There's so many people abroad with so much knowledge and skill that can contribute back to their home countries.
Yeah.
But because the conditions are not there,
The
the
politics.
corruption, the politics,
The politics tricks is the problem. Because you see, within the essence of the politics, they tell you it's the government within the government.
Mhm.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? And at the end of the day, as I always say, the people who create the problems, all they do is walk around dressed up in jacket and tie, with a mouthful of sweet words and actions of a lie.
Mhm.
And the truth about it, it's clean clothes that dress up with a dirty heart. Because if the clothes we wear could really speak, then trust me, the outcome would be 10 times different. So,
That's true.
it's the lack of respect for self generally across the board, be it color, race, or creed, that has created this lack of discipline and misery and confusion that we're all facing around the world. And until, as the emperor once said, until the essence of the color changes, and there'll be no more second class or third class citizens, then look what's in front of us. War.
Yeah.
It's no lie.
No.
It's no lie. But you know what? One of the things that I personally observe, they would say that no one wins in a war. It's a lie. The people who support it by investing in it wins.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, as the good book of rules command says, evil shall haunt the violent man to overthrow it, and his own evil will face him one moment in time. Because guess what? What comes around moves around. And as the story said, when the Pharaoh called his own disaster, this is what the leaders of the world are doing today,
Yep.
calling their own disaster. Because guess what? You all have children. Chip never falls far from the ground. Blood follows vein.
Yep.
It's thicker than water. Cannot mix concrete nor mortar. But guess what? We always get a son and a daughter, or a daughter, and there's no brother where that is concerned. The disease and the disasters that we are facing as individuals and as people and as nations around the world, until we enhance the essence of you, give us this opportunity to be sojourners and stewards of nature. More respect, more praises, more glory. We're heading in a deeper pit as beings. It's nice having you here, and I ask you to give the listening audience your place of contact where they can contact you if they need you, and all of that.
Yes, so we are no, yes. So just like no or yes, and that's how we are. We either tell you no or yes,
but
and that's
that's the essence of life.
that's it. No in between. Honesty is so crucial. And we're a firm of immigrants for immigrants because our parents dealt with the same struggle as the folks who are in our community right now. My mom just came from the Dominican Republic, and one of the things that she's telling me, she works at the hospital, is that immigration is now outside of the hospitals back home, trying to see who is giving birth. And during the roundtable, that was one of the things that was mentioned,
Yeah.
was the fact that a lot of the immigration policies in the Dominican Republic are being implemented or exported here. And to me, it's not a surprise because the Dominican Republic was the first colony of the Western Hemisphere. The first form of European government was brought into the Dominican Republic in 1492. It's not a surprise that today, 2025, we're seeing some of those same politics being exported, and division, because we need love, we need unity, we need respect. The reality is that there's circumstances that bring people to this country. Sometimes it's not even by choice. They're just trying to provide for their families, and we can't forget about our humanity. And we at our law firm, we believe in people. We believe in uh, you know uh, people over profits. And to us, what that means is that we will work with you. We want to protect your family in whatever decision it is that you want to make, whether it's you
Yeah.
want to fight to stay, you want to plan on leaving, or you want to go to Canada. Please give us a call. Check us out. We'll be more than happy to help you. Again, No Yes and Associates, NOYES. And our phone number is 203 572 6748. 203 572 6748. We're located in Stratford, Connecticut.
No, but then no, thank you so much. It's just a pleasure to be back here again. And as always, great talking to you about immigration and also about God. Because at the end of the day, we have to be evangelistic at all time to anyone. To like because that's what he tells us, to go out into the highways and the byways, preaching the gospel and showing love and spreading the truth. Because
It's true because as the rule book said, he said, if you want, he will make you fishers of men.
yes.
And making you fishers of men means that you have to go in every crevice and corner in order
Yes.
to really find that which is there to be found. And at the end of the day, as my mentor always says, what starts right ends right, what starts wrong ends wrong. And the truth about it, it all depends on us as individuals to
Yeah.
negotiate our daily moves with honesty and truth, because no matter what happens, the lack of truth creates more problems than you can imagine, you know. And then we sit around and mope about it and say, if I had known. No, you knew, but you just didn't pay attention.
No, that's true, and that's why we try to do that on our social media platform. Is just create videos, educational videos, to just for people. You don't want to call an attorney. You want to just learn about some options. You can check us out on Facebook, um, Noise and Associates on Facebook, on Instagram. We are also there on Instagram, Noise Lawyers. Um, we're on YouTube, Noise and Associates, and then we're also on TikTok. So we try to be on every platform
Yeah.
to be able to spread the knowledge because again, education is what we build on. We want people to be educated, knowing what you're going, what your process is, what are we going, what steps are we taking, how we are taking it. So once you're educated, you know what you're doing. So you can't say I didn't know. No, we want you to know. And if you have any question, you can always call us at 203 572 6748. That's 203 572 6748.
Thank you very much, young lady,
Thank you so much.
for being a part of my program this rising. And I hope and pray that the essence of you give it a life and maintain it alive carries you along as you go through the rivers and the houses of the day.
Thank you so much.
Peace within your walls and prosperity in your dwellings. Yeah, bless and prosperous life. Thanks.
Thank you. You too.
Thank you.
Here we go, kings and queens, princesses, lords and ladies. As we enter